Make sure you subscribe on all platforms and leave that 5-star review. Let's get it.
What type of a zone were you in out there?
Playoff zone, man. It's time. It's time. It's time to start playing defense. It's time to execute it and take care of the ball, offense. It's time, man. We want to win the ring. It's time. It's time. It's time, Amanda. It's time.
It's time. It's time.
0 now. Back to 0-0. We with all the smoke and we ain't ducking no fades. We're going to enjoy this one tonight, take tomorrow off, and then we'll go from there.
Talk about it.
You are now tuned in to Above the Rim. Hoops talk for the streets.
Family, what's good? Welcome back to another edition of Above the Rim. Hoops talk for the streets. You already know how we do, family. Brought to you as always. It's your host, Justin, a.k.a. Just Blaze. Family, you know the drill. To get in contact with me, you can always hit me up and follow me on Twitter at JustBlaze_513, on IG at JustBlaze513, on Facebook and YouTube. Search Above the Rim Podcast. Also email the show as well, Above the Rim NBA Podcast at gmail.com. Tap in and leave the family a voicemail. The line is always open. 908-718-1592. Family, send in those voicemails. Let me know your playoff thoughts or your playoff predictions. Best way to support the show is by comping your merch. As always, playoffs are on the way, family. As I said before, 20% off all orders of merch until the end of the playoffs. Use promo code ATR Playoff. That's ATR Playoff. Link is in my bio. Show some love. I appreciate it, of course, family. Make sure you leave your boy a review on iTunes and Spotify if you rock with the show. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, comment, show some love. Tell me your thoughts. I want to hear from the fam as well. Let's get right into this playoff preview, man. Lots to say, not enough time. Some solid news before we get into, before we start breaking down this postseason. Solid postseason we have ahead of us. We have upon us some great matchups we got. Some quick news and notes before we get into the postseason. The Oklahoma City Thunder become the 7th different West champ in the last 7 years, the longest stretch in the West under the new playoff format. So shout out to the OKC Thunder, the youngest team in history, I believe, to get a number 1 seed in the Western Conference. So shout out to them. The Boston Celtics capped their 15th 60-plus win season in team history and the first since his title run in 2008. Anthony Edwards and the Wolves are looking to make their first postseason series win of Ant Edwards' career. Paolo Banchero and Orlando Magic are making their postseason debut this year. The Knicks, they have a chance to go to their first conference final since the year 2000. The Clippers and the Mavs meet in the first round for the third time in 5 years since the Luka, Kawhi, PG eras have begun. And also, the Bucks and the Pacers, they revived their matchup from the in-season tournament semifinals, in which the Pacers won that in order to play the Lakers in the in-season tournament championship. So, a lot of stuff to get into. I'm going to keep it a buck, as I always do. If some of you happen to be upset at my takes, debate that with your moms. I don't care. But let me know your opinion also as well. If you agree or disagree, I want to hear. So let's keep it a buck on a few teams, a few matchups. What's your ceiling? I want to talk about what I'm looking for each one of these series. The series that have actually been solidified. And then we'll see moving forward from there. So starting off, Bucks and Pacers, 3-6 matchup. The Bucks are preparing to start the series, as we know, without Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's their first playoff meeting between the two Central Division rivals in 24 years. Features 2 of the league's top 6 offenses. The Pacers won the regular season series 4-1, with one of those wins coming in Vegas with the in-season tournament. Both of these teams are much better on offense than they are on defense, right? Both of them have all-star point guards, which both can be attacked on the defensive side of the ball. We talking about Damian Lillard. We talking about Tyrese Halliburton. So a couple of similarities between the teams. Key numbers in this series. The Pacers allowed their opponents to take 56% of their shots in the paint, the league's highest opponent rate by a huge margin. Giannis, 20 points per game in the paint, led the NBA. He averaged 42 and 13 in the 5 games against Indiana Pacers this year. So that's going to be something to watch for, the points in the paint battle between these two teams in this series. For the Bucks, Their transition defense is going to be very important. It's been a while that they faced a team that ranked 4th in fast break points per game. The Pacers were 23-4 when they registered at least 20 fast break points. So the Bucks, they have an issue with transition defense. The Pacers are a team that can exploit that weakness of the lack of transition defense. Couple of things that I'm watching for in this series between the Pacers and the Bucks. Obviously, the health of Giannis is first, second, and third priority, but I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into that. With Giannis, the Bucks are 45-28. Without Giannis, the Bucks are 4-5 without him. My question is, can the Milwaukee Bucks be trusted? Can they be trusted? They look very untrustworthy right now. Very untrustworthy, especially coming down the stretch of the season. This Bucks team is making me nervous to pick them, and I don't even know why. They haven't found their true chemistry yet. They haven't found their chemistry. Now, they're getting their chemistry. They had a lot of turnover, a lot of change this season. They brought in Patrick Beverley at the deadline. They brought in Doc Rivers. They fired Adrian Griffin. Damian Lillard has been adjusting to his new role of being number 2. But I'm starting to ask myself, is Damian Lillard better suited to be a number 1? Not saying he has to be number 1 to win a championship, but is his mentality better suited to be a number 1 than a number 2? Is that what he's struggling with this season? Because he hasn't been the same. He's been scoring, yeah, but overall he hasn't had the same impact that he normally does. And it's not like he's going from the first option to like the third or the fourth. He's going from 1 to 2, and a 2 fringe, meaning that you can get the ball whenever you want. So it's not even like a true number 2. What if he gets back into his comfort zone in this series with Giannis out, maybe the first game, maybe the second game, and having everything run through him? This may end up helping the Milwaukee Bucks in the long run. Damian Lillard, when Giannis is out, he goes from 23 a game to 29 a game, without Giannis. That's important. That's important. That means he's more comfortable in that number 1 role. He's more comfortable not second guessing himself. Do I have to pass this rock to Giannis? I keep saying Giannis. To Giannis. Do I have to run the play that Doc Rivers told me? Do I have to run this screen? Do I have to give it to this guy? Do I have to set somebody up? He could be more comfortable knowing he's the number 1 option and the sole only number 1 option in the first couple of games in this series. Now, they need Giannis to beat the Pacers. Don't get me wrong. But I think they can sustain with Giannis out a little bit. You know what I mean? And how they can do that is going into my next question. Can Doc Rivers make any adjustments in this series? Can he make any? Can he make 1? Can he make 2? Can he make 3? He's going to have to make a couple adjustments in this series, but can he make any adjustments in this series? Or will he go with the same game plan over and over and over and over, beating it into a dead horse until it works? I don't know. Track record says Doc Rivers does not make adjustments very often. Maybe this is a new Doc Rivers. We're going to see. We're going to see. On the Pacers side, will Tyrese Halliburton destroy the Bucks guards? Will he? He's destroyed the Bucks all year. He's killed the Bucks all year. Now they got Patrick Beverley to guard this guy, but does it even really matter? We saw when Patrick Beverley was on the Bulls last year, how Tyrese Halliburton crossed him up for that game-winning shot. Didn't care about no Patrick Beverley. I don't think Patrick Beverley's going to be able to hold him, to be honest. But will he destroy the Bucks guards? I don't know. I'm looking out for that. I'm looking out for Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam. Can they neutralize a not fully healthy Giannis? When Giannis does come back into the series, I'm predicting game 3, in my opinion. I think he's going to come back for the 2 games on the road. I think he's going to miss the first 2 games at home. Going to see how it is. Maybe they get a split, maybe a 2-0. But I think he's going to come back in game 3. And if he's not fully healthy when he comes back in game 3, can Miles Turner and Siakam's production neutralize Giannis? You see what I said? He averaged against the Pacers this year. What did he average? 42 and 13 against the Pacers. So he's been dominating these dudes all year, but his team still lost in those games. So can they match up production? We're going to see. Also, will Rick Carlisle outcoach Doc Rivers? Will he outcoach him? Sources say yes. Reality says maybe. We'll see what happens. Doc Rivers, that goes into me. Are you going to make any adjustments? We know Rick Carlisle, he's an exceptional tactical coach. We're going to see what type of adjustments he makes throughout this series to put his Indiana Pacers in a better position to beat the Milwaukee Bucks, because the Bucks are the favorite. One of the X factors in this series, Chris Middleton. First of all, is Chris Middleton even a factor anymore? Is he an X factor? Is he a factor anymore? I don't know I don't like what I'm seeing from Chris Middleton right now. He's only averaging 15 on the year as the team's third option. He's gonna have to elevate his game and shoot close to at least 40% from 3-point range if the Bucks are gonna win this series. I need Chris Middleton to step up if they're even gonna make this a short series. Now I think this series is gonna go a little bit long, but Chris Middleton has to be better than what he's shown this entire year. Can he do that right now in the middle of going into the playoffs right now? I don't know. So I think the Bucks are going to have to accept getting minimal production from Chris Middleton. 15 points per game, those are pedestrian numbers for him. He should be getting 20 plus. This guy is an all-star caliber player. He's paid as a max. He has a max deal. You should be getting 20 plus a night. 15 points per game is not going to cut it. And most importantly, he's moving a little slow. He ain't even moving the same. So we're going to see what Chris Middleton even gives in this series. Now, if Giannis is fully healthy for game 2, I think this can be a shorter series. But if he's not, which I don't think he will be, I think he's going to come back games 3 and game 4. The Bucks could be in some trouble in this series. I personally think this series is going to go the distance. I think it's going to go 7 games. And I'm going Bucks in 7. Not because of the faith that I have in the Pacers, but because it's going to take the Bucks time to adjust to Giannis being out in the first 2 couple of games. So we're going to see how the Bucks adjust. I think the Bucks still will win this series. I think some people are being a little disrespectful by picking the Pacers to win, but I think the Bucks are going to win the series, and they should win the series. And I'll be highly disappointed in them if they don't, but we'll see. Moving on, let's get to the Clippers and Mavs series. That's a 4-5 matchup in the West. Tough series right here, man. Really tough series. A series that features a combined 47 All-Star nods, 2 MVPs, 2 NBA Finals MVPs, and 6 scoring titles in this series. The Clippers won the regular season series 2-1, but the clubs, the last time they matched up was basically in December. Luka Doncic and the Mavs have ran off a 16-2 record near the end of the regular season before coasting to the finish line for that extra rest they needed going into the playoffs. Luka has been extraordinary this season, this entire season, putting up MVP numbers, 34, 9, and 9 all year. He's been exceptional, typical Luka numbers, but the Clippers have eliminated Luka twice in the playoffs. But the Clippers are in a little bit of a transition right now. They're regaining their momentum going into the postseason. So there's a lot going on in this series right now. But what I'm watching for in this series, who's guarding Luka? Who's guarding Luka for the LA Clippers? Who's guarding Luka Doncic in this series? Can Kawhi Leonard handle this assignment for a full game? I think he's gonna have to. I think he's gonna have to guard Luka Doncic for a full game. But he possibly can't. And if he can't, who do you trust to guard Luka Doncic? Paul George? Do you trust Paul George to not get cooked by Luka in this series? I don't. Who else is there to guard him? James Harden? Not happening. Norman Powell? Not big enough. Who else? PJ Tucker? Maybe too slow. Even though Luka doesn't have the same amount of speed, but he may be too small too. Kawhi Leonard is the guy who has to be the guy to even try to slow Luka down. Now, he's going to have to be healthy in order to do that, which they've been talking about him. He's been having some knee inflammation or something like that. So we have to monitor how healthy Kawhi Leonard is. And that, to me, is a very important factor in this series. Now, I want to know what tactics Ty Lue and the LA Clippers use to slow down Luka Doncic. Limiting Luka's impact will undoubtedly be priority number 1 for the LA Clippers. Can they do it? I don't know. The other things I'm looking out for in this series, are we going to get scoring James Harden or passive James Harden? Which one is ready to go in this postseason? He's averaging 16 on the season, but he's got to get more than that. 16 points per game is not going to cut it. I'm sorry for James Harden. It's not going to cut it. 16 points per game, he's going to have to get about 20. He's going to have to get about 20, about 9. Especially if Kawhi Leonard is not 100% to where he needs to be. Now, a fun fact, James Harden has never missed a postseason in his entire NBA career, I believe. But his postseason has been the most volatile of any player probably in the league right now. Will he perform? Will he choke? Will he show up? Will he get buckets? What is James Harden going to do? That remains to be seen which version of James Harden we're going to get. And how much does Russell Westbrook affect the energy and intensity of the Clippers? To me, he's the heart and soul. He's the motor of that team. He's one of the most important guys on the floor for the LA Clippers. He's coming off the bench, but Russell Westbrook may have to start a few games in this series. He may even have to play defense on Luka Doncic, only because I can trust that he's going to bring the intensity to Luka. Now, we know Luka's a complainer. The rest could get into his head. It's possible, but we're going to see how Luka adapts to that if he's going to complain a little bit less. But Russell Westbrook is going to be important in this series. For the Mavs, one of their X factors in this series is the Mavericks' third scorer. Who is that going to be? My guess, who I think it should be, is Tim Hardaway Jr. Streaky shooter, posted over 14 points per game in the regular season. He's going to need to elevate his game to about 17 or 18 in the playoffs as he did in 2020 to diversify the offense for the Dallas Mavericks. He's going to need to step up and be that third guy that after Luka, after Kyrie, him or PJ Washington. PJ Washington's going to have to score, but I'm not really trusting PJ Washington to do all of that because he's going to have his hands full on the other end guarding Kawhi Leonard most likely. I don't think he's going to be guarding Paul George. I think he's going to be guarding Kawhi, but we'll see. Tim Hardaway Jr., he's got to step up. He's got to hit those open shots. He's got to play a lot more. So it's going to be interesting to see how this matches up. Who do I think is going to be better in the series between Kawhi Leonard and between Luka Doncic? Numbers-wise, it's definitely going to be Luka. Impact-wise, it might be Kawhi. Because depending on how good or bad Kawhi Leonard is, the Clippers, their chances lies on that. I do think they're the more talented team, but right now the Mavericks are playing exceptional. I love what their roster has put together. The additions of Daniel Gafford, it's been great for them. They're like the wild card in the Western Conference, in my opinion. They have been the best team in the NBA after the All-Star break, the Dallas Mavericks. Luka has been exceptional. Kyrie has been exceptional. PJ Washington has played his role well. Tim Hardaway Jr., Dante Exum has both contributed solid minutes. I told y'all before, the steal of the NBA trade deadline was Daniel Gafford. He's a perfect big man to this team, perfect big man for Luka Doncic in particular. This series is tough. I'm thinking about even changing my pick right now as we are talking, but I'm like, I got to see how game 1 and game 2 shakes out. But right now, I'm going to Mavericks in 7. I'm going to Mavericks in 7, but I don't even feel crazy about that. That series could go any way, to be honest. That means the Mavericks would have to win a game on the road in game 7 in LA, which I actually think they can. So we'll see. Moving on, Suns, T-Wolves, Phoenix Suns, Minnesota Timberwolves, 3-6 matchup right here. The Suns swept the 3-game season series by a total of 47 points, I believe. Nobody enjoyed a better April than the Phoenix Suns. They went 10-4 to conquer their tough finishing schedule that a lot of people didn't think they could get through. They played that tough schedule very well. This team has been one of the most inconsistent teams all year. My issues with them is the lack of urgency, the lack of accountability has been on full display all season. A couple of things that I'm watching for in this series. Will home court matter in this series? Right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves obviously have home court advantage. They're the 3 seed. But the Phoenix Suns, they don't care. They're not scared of playing in Minnesota. They're not scared of that crowd in Minnesota. We've seen what they just did in the last game of the season. They went over there and took care of them in dominating fashion. They don't care. They are not scared about playing in Minnesota. And the problem is, they feel like they're the better team. Even though they're the lowest seed, they feel like they're the better team. They've had Minnesota's number all year. Minnesota hasn't even beaten them, have their number all year. So the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to have to get over that mental hurdle, as in, this team, we haven't beaten this team in a while. Home court is on their side, but how much will home court matter in this series? I'm not even sure. And I don't even think this is a series that has anything to do with home court advantage. I think this is about the players on the floor and how they perform, regardless of where they're playing at. Will the mid-range jumper fall early and often for the Phoenix Suns? Kevin Durant and Devin Booker rank 1st and 4th in pull-up 2-point jumpers per game. They combine to shoot better than 50% on those attempts. Will their jumper be falling early and often throughout this series? I think it will. I think it has to in order for them to advance in this series. And the ability for the Suns to shoot off the dribble forces Rudy Gobert and a lot of the Timberwolves' weak side defenders to play out of their comfort zone. There are going to be a lot of switches. Rudy Gobert is going to have to switch out to KD. Rudy Gobert is going to have to switch out to Devin Booker. He's going to have to switch out to Bradley Beal. And he's getting cooked. You know how I feel about Rudy Gobert. He's definitely getting cooked on the perimeter. We're going to see if the Phoenix Suns can take advantage of a lot of that happening. And can Ant Edwards be the best player in this series? That's what I want to know. Can he be the best player in this Timberwolves Phoenix Suns series? Can he be better than Kevin Durant? Can he be better than Devin Booker? In the regular series, he's about neck and neck, I would say, with Kevin Durant in terms of impact in this postseason. But he was up there in the MVP rankings. Anthony Edwards has been exceptional all year. This is his time to shine in this postseason. It's not Karl Anthony Towns' team anymore. This is Anthony Edwards' team right now. Can he really rise to the challenge and be the best player in this series? That remains to be seen. And that, to me, is the only way the Timberwolves have a chance in this series is if Anthony Edwards is the best player in this series. The way he can be the best player in this series is easy. Because the Suns, they have no defensive stopper. Who's guarding Anthony Edwards? Royce O'Neal, you trust him? Devin Booker? No. Josh Okogie? Grayson Allen? These guys shouldn't be able to guard Anthony Edwards. So in my opinion, Anthony Edwards can possibly be the best person in this series because the Suns, they have no defensive stopper. And in times of adversity, what are the Suns going to do? Who are the Suns' leader? How will the Suns handle their adversity? Who's the vocal leader on the team? Who's going to get them through those tough times in the timeouts? Who's going to get them through a tough loss when the media is ragging on you that you guys shouldn't have lost this game? Who's the vocal leader in the Suns locker room who's going to get that done? In my opinion, it needs to be Devin Booker. Devin Booker has to be the undisputed leader of this team going into the postseason and throughout the postseason. He has to step up. You can't play that little bro role anymore to KD. I don't know if you can become big bro, but you can't be little bro in this series. You have to really solidify yourself. This is my team, my franchise, my playoffs. We are winning and losing on my decisions. Devin Booker, he's got to step up his leadership, and we'll see if he can do that. The Suns have not been a great team in the clutch all year. We're going to see how they handle that adversity in the clutch. They are bottom 3 or bottom 5 in the league with in turnovers per game. They have to take care of the ball in this series. Obviously, the Minnesota Timberwolves are the number 1 defensive team in the league, so they're going to make it very tough on them. Late in games, the Suns have not been good. We're going to see how they really shake up and how they really really play better in the clutch coming down the stretch in these games. They lacked urgency, they lacked accountability, and they lacked making smart decisions in late in games. They turn the ball over a lot, but we'll see how they step up. Devin Booker, I need you to step up on the leadership role. As the next factor in this series, will Rudy Gobert get played off the floor? The Suns, I said before, they're well equipped to hunt Rudy Gobert and to pull him away from the basket and pull him away from the paint with timely switches. I can't imagine him switching up, going on KD, going on Devin Booker, going on Bradley Beal, and these brothers are smiling. That's barbecue chicken in front of him, seeing Rudy Gobert. He goes through this every single year, every single postseason he gets played off the floor. Why will I think this postseason will be any different? I don't think so. I think it's going to be a lot of the same, right? On the Minnesota Timberwolves, the only way they can offset that is by putting Naz Reid in there, center Naz Reid, Karl Anthony Towns. One of the 6 Man of the Year contenders. He's been excellent all year. It's up to him to have a very meaningful impact off that bench and actually play a lot of the minutes that Rudy Gobert can. He's going to have to do that. We're going to see. So Naz Reid is going to be very important for the Minnesota Timberwolves. The production of Karl Anthony Towns is going to be very important for the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll see how they do that moving forward. And in the playoffs for the Suns, Royce O'Neal, to me, he's going to have to start. I think he's going to have to start and be the primary defender on Anthony Edwards. He's a person who's well-equipped, the most equipped to guard Anthony Edwards in the series. Grayson Allen, I don't trust him on Anthony Edwards. That's not a good matchup. Royce O'Neal, Frank Vogel, you need to switch up, make an adjustment, put Royce O'Neal in the starting lineup in this series. And can you make an adjustment? Can you make adjustments, Frank Vogel? How many adjustments can you make? How many adjustments can you do? And will your adjustments be effective in this series? We're going to see. I'm not a big fan of Frank Vogel. His role, his job to me is in jeopardy in this postseason, depending on how this series goes right now. Can they rise to the occasion? I don't know. There's growing buzz around Frank Vogel's job security at the end of the series. If the Suns are unable to make it out the first round, I think Vogel's possibly will lose his job. I don't think he's going to be able to survive this if they lose, especially if they lose in anything under 7. They losing 5, definitely getting fired. Losing 4, definitely getting fired. Losing 6, depends how they lose. If they lose in 7, he could possibly be safe. But I think the Suns franchise are expecting them clearly to win this series because they are talking as if they had the favorable matchup against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So we're going to see the adjustments that Frank Vogel makes or doesn't make in this series to solidify that win because they are the better team, in my opinion. Even though the Minnesota Timberwolves have the better record, they've been a better team all year, the Phoenix Suns should win this series. The Phoenix Suns are the better team. So I'm going with the Suns in 6. In my opinion. I'm going with the Suns in 6 in this series. We'll see how that shakes out. Moving on, we got the Cavs versus Magic in the Eastern Conference 4-5 matchup. 2 defensive-minded teams, both top 10 defensive rating in the NBA this season. The Orlando Magic and the Cleveland Cavaliers, they split their 4-game season series. Each team went 1-on-1 on the road and at home. This should make for a very interesting class. Both top 10 defensively, as I said before, both lower half of the league offensively. So this is going to be a very defensive-minded matchup. Evan Mobley, I believe he didn't play in 2 of the games against the Magic. So that's going to be something that they adjust to. A couple of things that I'm watching for in this series. Which defense has the better series? 2 of the 4 meetings in the regular season, 1 team was held to less than 100 points. The Magic, number 1 3 defensive team in the league. Once this Orlando Magic team gets rolling, their confidence and their energy spikes. They start hounding after their players. They start creating steals. They start finding extra energy. This Magic team all season has overwhelmed opponents with their effort, with their energy, creating a lot of deflections, playing with a lot of tempo, playing with a lot of speed on defense. They've been great. Jamal Mosley has really instilled a lot of defensive principles in this team, and they've been great. And can they contain the dribble penetration of Donovan Mitchell and of Darius Garland? I think, to me, that will be their Achilles heel if they are to lose this series. The penetration from Donovan Mitchell, the penetration from Darius Garland, Jalen Suggs is going to have his hands full. Gary Harris is going to have his hands full. Who else? We might have to see Paolo Banchero guard one of those guys 1 or 2 times. Listen, everything is going to be on the table right now for the Orlando Magic. Jonathan Isaac, he's going to have to play a critical role off that bench and maybe even switch up on a Donovan Mitchell or a Darius Garland. He has the potential to switch 1 through 5, to play 1 through 5. Let's see if he has that defensive potential, if he can shut down or even limit those 2 guys in their penetration. So we'll see how the Magic do that. Another thing that's important, paint scoring. The Orlando Magic are a top 10 team in the NBA in points in the paint per game this season, doing over 51 per game. The Cavs rely on defending the paint. That's what's going to be important. They're 5th in the league, I think, in giving up a little bit under 46 points per game in the paint this season. This is where this series will undoubtedly be won, in the paint. Who scores more in the paint? Who's more effective in the paint as on offense and on defense? So we'll see how these 2 teams shake up there. One of the series X factors, in my opinion, Paolo Banchero. Been talking about him all year. Put him on my All-NBA team. First-time All-Star. Youngest player in NBA history to lead his team in scoring, rebounding, and assisting this year. Paolo Banchero has to be the best player in this series in order for the Orlando Magic to win. He has to be better than Donovan Mitchell. He has to be better than Darius Garland. He has to play up to his potential and not be afraid of the moment in order for the Magic to win this series. Last year, famously, in the Cavs-Knicks series, we remember Jared Allen said that weak move when he was like, the lights were too bright for me. The lights were too bright for you? What are you even talking about right now? That was unacceptable to even say. I don't want to hear any of that type of shit coming out of Paolo Banchero. He should be saying the lights weren't bright enough. I'm ready. He looks ready to me. I think he's in for a very solid playoff series. He's gonna have to be. He's gonna have to increase that scoring average a little bit. They're gonna need him. They're gonna need him. Wagner is gonna be very important for the Orlando Magic. How he complements Paolo Banchero's scoring and what Cole Anthony does coming off the bench. Can he give them 10? Can he give them 15? Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz, they're gonna be very important coming off the bench to see what they can produce. My prediction in this series is gonna be tough. I'm going with the Magic in 6. I got faith in the Atlanta Magic. I know this is their first postseason berth. I know it's going to be tough for them. But I'm going with the Magic in 6. Why not? Fuck. 2-7 matchup in the West. LA Lakers, the Denver Nuggets, Western Conference Finals rematch. The streets have been waiting for this. The Lakers survive a late rally against the Pelicans on Tuesday to win the play-in, secure the 7th seed, and set up a rematch with the Nuggets in the playoffs. Dating back to 2002 and including the postseason, the Denver Nuggets have won 8 straight games against the LA Lakers. They haven't beaten them in 8 straight times. Will this series be any different? Who knows? The Lakers have been calling for this. They wanted this matchup. I believe the Nuggets wanted this matchup. Ever since the Nuggets won the title, they've been talking about the Lakers. Mike Malone, he's been talking about the Lakers all year. We're the Lakers' daddy, all of this kind of shit. The Lakers should feel disrespected by how the Nuggets were treating them in their parade and all season. They don't look at the Lakers as enough of a threat to really dethrone them. The Lakers, you boys got swept. You can't say anything. There's no excuse. You got swept last year. It was unacceptable. You have to avenge last year's sweep and show that you had business being there in the playoffs last year. Because I said last year famously, the Lakers had no business being in the Western Conference Finals. I don't think they should have been there in that Western Conference Finals. And it showed because they got swept. They got smoked in that series. So we're going to see how they make up for that this year. Now, can Jokic lead the Denver Nuggets to back-to-back championships? That's going to be a tough task for them to do, but they are well-equipped to do it. What I'm watching for in this series, the intensity. The series is going to be electric, going to be hype. It's going to have a rivalry-type feel to this series, and I like to see it. And I love to hear it, love to see it. One of my keys in this series, one of the things I'm watching for is Aaron Gordon's defensive impact. To me, he was the real reason that the Denver Nuggets won the NBA title last year. Every individual matchup that Aaron Gordon had, he took out his opponent or severely limited them in that postseason matchup. His defensive versatility and his ability to guard multiple positions on the floor will be pivotal for the Denver Nuggets. He's very, very, very extremely important for the Denver Nuggets' success. And on the Lakers side, in regard to Aaron Gordon, you have to make him a scorer. You can't allow Aaron Gordon to just play great defense, exceptional defense throughout the whole series, and only score 10 points. That's a nice day for Aaron Gordon. I just got to worry about playing defense. I don't even have to score that much. The Lakers have to force Aaron Gordon to score more, force him to put the ball on the floor and actually be a contributor on offense. You can't allow him to be lax, hit a couple of open job shots, hit a couple of straight alleys from Jokic. He has to make him put the ball on the floor and make him become a scorer. Another thing I'm watching for is LeBron James' three-point shooting in this series, right? Last year, LeBron only made 26% of his threes in the playoffs and 26% of his threes in the conference finals. He just finished this season shooting a career high over 41% from three-point range. That's very high for LeBron James. His three-point ball is going to have to be on point in order for the Lakers to win this series. It's going to be extremely important for LeBron James to be hitting that three ball because they're going to key in on him. Aaron Gordon probably will be the guy defending him, and he's no slouch on the defensive end. So LeBron, he's going to have to up that three-point percentage. Maintain that three-point percentage. One of the series X factors for me is going to be D'Angelo Russell. He's probably an unspoken key for the Los Angeles Lakers. He's been efficient this season, posting over 18 points and 6 assists per game on 45% shooting from the field and 41% from three. He's been hitting his three ball all season. He needs to continue to hit that three ball in this series. The Lakers are 15-3 in games where D'Angelo Russell scores 25 plus points and 9-2 when he attempts 11 three-pointers or more. D'Angelo Russell, he is the X factor for the LA Lakers, and he has to be that third scorer for that team in order for them to win this series. One guy I was talking to about D'Angelo Russell when he told me, he said, think about this, Just. D'Lo is averaging more points than Harden, more assists than Steph, and shooting the same percentage from three as Kevin Durant. I was like, wow. He's got to step up. D'Angelo Russell is the key for the LA Lakers. I'm telling you right now, he's very, very, very important. As you see against when they played against the Pelicans in that playing game, who hit the dagger three? It was D'Lo. It was D'Lo. He's going to be very important in this series, man. I'll tell you that right now. Prediction for this series, it's going to be a tough battle. I'm not going to lie. I'm one of those guys who doesn't think the Denver Nuggets are an unbeatable team, as a lot of people are thinking. They're assuming that the Nuggets can't be beat. I disagree. I think the Nuggets can be beat in the series, but if the Lakers can't win, I'll preface by saying this. If the Lakers can't win one of the first two games in Denver, I think the series is over. If they split one of those games in Denver, I think the series is going to go 7. And I'm going to go Nuggets. Denver Nuggets in a shaky 7. Denver Nuggets in a shaky 7 because the Lakers are a team below 500 on the road. I don't trust them to get a game in Denver. They're going to have to get a game in Denver, but I don't know if I trust them enough to get a game in Denver. And they're going to have to get one of these first 2 games on the road. Like I said, they have to do that in order to win this series. So Lakers, Nuggets is going to be a great series. Let's move on and talk about the New York Knicks right now. The last time the New York Knicks finished as the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference was 2012-2013. The last time they recorded a 50-win season, I believe, was 2012-2013. I believe other than last year. Did they get 50 wins last year? I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry about that. But they haven't been to the conference finals since the year 2000. They avoided the Celtics in the playoff bracket. The Knicks have returned to the postseason right now with 3 things. As a physical, tough defense, top 3 rebounding team in the NBA, and stellar performances all season long from Jalen Brunson Burner. Jalen Brunson Burner has been on one all year. The Knicks as a whole are top 10 in both offensive and defensive rating this year. The Knicks are floating around the imaginary line, but that separates contender and pretender. Depending on how they come out in the postseason, they will look pretenderish or contenderish. We're going to see. But let's keep it a buck here. The Knicks' playoff hopes, they rest on Jalen Brunson. They rest on the shoulders of Jalen Brunson. Let's be serious now. Can he continue to carry New York City on his back? Here's a couple of things I'm watching for in this series, especially with the New York Knicks. I hate to say this sometimes, but Jalen Brunson has a tendency to over-dribble at times. But to be fair, he's the Knicks' only consistent playmaker off the dribble. When I look at this team, who's your secondary playmaker? Who are you relying on in this series? The Knicks are 29th in the league in assists per game, 24th in the league in field goal percentage. They need to move that ball a little bit more. They need to get easier shots. They need to get better offensive sets. They need to make sure they get good shots and share that ball every single possession. That starts with their all-star point guard, Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson's three-point shooting has been improved from this year to last year. His attempts are up from 4 to 6 this year. Will Tibbs resort to playing his key guys, 40 to 48 minutes every single game? Is Brunson going to have to play 48 minutes? He's going to have to play 46 minutes? We know Josh Hart is going to play 48 minutes. Is DiVincenzo going to play 45 minutes? Is Anunoby going to have to play 45 to 48 minutes? We know how Tibbs does, and that may wear down his players throughout the entire series. Hopefully he doesn't, but we'll see. With Tibbs' track record, who knows? One of the X factors for the New York Knicks to me is Donte DiVincenzo. Can he become that consistent second scorer that the New York Knicks need? They need him to be. He's been great from 3 all year. He's been great for them all year, especially when Randall went out. 3rd in the NBA in 3-pointers made this season. He's one of my most improved player of the year candidates. He's been killing it from 3-point range. He's been scoring damn near 20 a night for the past couple of games. Donte DiVincenzo is a very important X factor for the New York Knicks. He's got to be hitting his shots, hitting his open threes, and more importantly, he's got to put the ball on the deck and score. I think he has the potential to do it. He has the utmost confidence, probably the most confidence he's ever had in his entire career. And shout out to him for the great season that DiVincenzo has been having. But he has to step up for the Knicks and be their X factor in order to take them to the next level. OG Anunoby, the defensive impact of OG Anunoby. Smart reads, smart positioning, solid deflections, less fouling, smart defensive play. The Knicks are 20-3 or something like that when OG Anunoby is on the floor. He is so critical, so important to the New York Knicks' success. He's going to have to play a lot of the 4 right now since Julius Randle is out. Play the 4, play the 3, play a little bit of the 4, but he stepped up to the plate when he has played, hitting his open shots, defending the opposing team's best perimeter player. He's been exceptional for them all year, and I see nothing to deter away from that. Yes, he may be a little not healthy, but he's getting up there. So we're going to see how he's going to impact their matchup, OG Anunoby. And the question remains, let's be honest, can the Brunson burner stay lit throughout the playoffs? Only time will tell. Moving on, let's talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder real quick. They're going to be playing either the Pelicans or the Kings. The starting 5 in Oklahoma City has never played a playoff series together, entering the playoffs. OKC is the second youngest team, only behind the Magic in players averaging 20-plus minutes. I think the lack of experience thing with this Oklahoma City Thunder team is a little bit overblown. I know they don't have a lot of experience in this team, but now they're not going to be playing a team with tons of experience. They're not going to be playing the Lakers. They're not going to be playing the Warriors. It's going to be either Kings or the Pelicans. Both teams that the experience doesn't really matter. So this is a dream scenario for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But what I'm watching for the Oklahoma City Thunder in this series, in this playoffs, how will SGA's offensive impact translate into playoff basketball success? He's shooting over 8 free throws per game in the season. Third most in the league, I believe. If the refs allow more physicality, which they tend to do in the postseason, how will SGA adjust to the increased physicality? Will he embrace it, or will he start bitching at the refs? Hopefully he embraces it. He keeps playing because he's been exceptional. He's been an very worthy of the MVP in this league. And I got to give it to SGA. We're going to see how he performs in the postseason. OKC is one of the better crunch time teams in the league. Their big 3 in the clutch this season has been exceptional. SGA, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren. All of them are shooting over 70% true shooting percentage in the clutch time. They're elite. They're elite in the clutch. One of the keys for me for the Oklahoma City Thunder, my boy Lou Dort. He's the key for me. Respect New, as we call him. That's what he put on the back of the jersey when the Oklahoma City Thunder went in a bubble, and he had to put those nicknames in the back of the jersey. His shit on the back was Respect New. Lou Dort, one of my favorite players in the NBA, one of the better defenders in the NBA. He should be on the all-defensive team. I don't know why he gets slighted every single year. He will need to perform at an all-time high level. Can he shut down the opposing team's best player? He needs to in order for them to win. He has to in order for them to win. Lou Dort is going to be so important. He's so critical for this team. Moving on. The Boston Celtics. I know everyone is crowning the Celtics in the East for the East title right now, and rightfully so. They have been the best team all year. The Celtics are the only team in the top 5 in both offensive and defensive rating. It's safe to say that anything short of an NBA Finals trip for the Boston Celtics is going to be a massive disappointment for them. Even though they've been consistent all year, they can still be vulnerable in certain areas in a series. Here's a couple of things that I'm watching for with the Boston Celtics in 3 areas where I think they can be vulnerable in a series. Number 1, physicality. Number 2, too much jump shooting, which is a direct result of having a lack of a true point guard. I think they need one of those true point guards in order for them to really be what they need to be. Paint physicality, I'm looking at them, is depending on who they match up with. Will they get muscle down in the paint? They live and die with their jump shot, especially Porzingis stepping out and hitting that 3. Things could get very dicey if they get the Miami Heat in a matchup in AFC. The Heat have zero fear of the Boston Celtics. So can the Celtics deal with physicality and deal with the physical series right out the gate? The coaching battle between Mazzulla and whoever they play against, can they handle that? And can Joe Mazzulla handle all the adjustments that he's going to need to handle? We're going to see how they adjust to that. Moving on, the Philadelphia 76ers. They're 31-8 with Joel Embiid in the lineup and 15-27 when he's not in the lineup. It's clear as day they go nowhere without Joel Embiid. Tobias Harris, he's very important in this lineup. He's often overlooked, but very crucial for the 76ers. He's going to have to step up as that third offensive option for them. Very important. Buddy Hield. He brings valuable three-point shooting, valuable floor spacing that they're going to need. Kelly Oubre Jr. is going to be so important for them, an all-around forward. Holding about 15 points per game, 5 rebounds. They're going to need him to up that up a little bit. He's going to need to maintain that production and contribute consistently in the postseason. We're going to see how Philly shakes up there. The Miami Heat, can the Heat score enough? Miami ranked 21st in offensive rating, ahead of only the Orlando Magic among postseason teams. Tyler Hero, he's going to have to step up and be a key player. He's been outstanding this season when he did play, averaging over 20. His scoring ability, shot-making, clutch performance has been exceptional and crucial for the Heat. Jaime Jaquez Jr. is going to have to be important. Terry Rozier is going to have to be important. He's going to have to bring energy, hustle, heart, and playmaking to the Miami Heat, and we're going to see how they perform in the postseason. Sacramento Kings, can they hold down the fort? Can they hold down the fort until Malik Monk comes back? Who knows? The Pelicans, can they hold down the fort with Zion's injury? Who knows about that? But we're going to see how those two shake out. But family, I appreciate you for joining me once again for another episode. I'll tell you right now, make sure you hit me up on Twitter, IG, and Facebook with your NBA takes. This NBA playoffs is going to be amazing. It's going to be very competitive. A lot of parity in the league right now. I love that. Send in a voicemail with your thoughts. 908-718-1592. Write down your playoff predictions in the comments. Subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. This is episode 222, family. And we out.